What's going on, guys? Do you like my new hat? I spent last weekend at Makers Central, hence the new hat, and I had a pretty great time there. There were some amazing people, and it was really inspiring being around so many creatives. When I got back, I decided it was time to work on a new project. So I created these things. These are terrariums, but probably not the kind of terrarium you'd be used to seeing. They don't have live plants in them, instead they have artificial plants, and there's a pretty good reason for that. You see, live plants aren't very fond of glow-in-the-dark paint, and these plants are absolutely covered in the stuff. I decided to make these plants glow in the dark using an ultraviolet LED on the bottom of this. This uses a solar panel to charge a battery, and as soon as it gets dark, or turns to night, the LED turns on and it will illuminate everything inside of the jar. Now, like most of my projects, this thing really isn't done justice in the daylight. When it gets dark, this thing glows and it looks incredible. So stay tuned if you want to see that. Anyway, I'm sure you're getting tired of me talking by now, so without any further ado, let's get started with the project. Okay, let's start by cleaning things up a little bit. These jars are pretty nice from the factory, but not perfect. Let's use some isopropyl alcohol to get them really clean. And this seal should be more or less the perfect size to draw some circles. We're going to be using this foam to make the base of the dioramas. With those now cut out, I'm going to cut some small holes into the bottom, which I'll use to insert some silica gel packs to make sure no moisture gets into the jars. And now onto the fun part. I got these artificial succulents online, which I'm going to be covering in glow-in-the-dark paint. I paid pretty close attention to where I was putting this stuff. I wanted to make sure it was only used as a highlight on some of the tips of the plants and not just to cover the plants entirely. And I think these turned out pretty well. Very happy with the results. Next, I spent a little time measuring up the inside of the jar as well as the outer lip of the jar and this solar powered light that I'm going to be using to make these things glow. Then, in Fusion, I made a really simple model for the lid, as well as a holder for the 3 ultraviolet LEDs that are going to be inside this. Just jumping in here for a sec, guys, because I want to talk to you for a minute. There's a 0.2% chance that you're subscribed to me. So if you like the content that I'm producing and you like the channel, then it'd really help me out if you hit that subscribe button down below. I'm still quite a small channel and your help really goes a long way to helping me grow. Just one more thing before we continue, I want to give a big shout out to Matt Janaway, who bought a coffee through my website, link down below. Thanks very much for that. Your support has helped go towards some of the material costs for this project, and without support like this, some of these projects wouldn't be possible. After removing the original LED, I started placing the ultraviolet LEDs in the holder that I made. I positioned these so that all of the pins were in the same orientation, and then started bending the pins around so they were touching one another. This inner ring is the negative and the outer ring is going to be the positive. Then with the help of some super glue, I started putting all of the pieces together. And with everything together, it's finally time to seal this thing up. This 3D printed lid came out way better than I could have thought it would. I'm very happy with the knurling on this, especially considering it was my first time trying this. With all that out of the way, it's finally time to start working on the diorama. I got this fake grass online and started cutting it up so that I had loads of lengths that were just the right size to go in the jars that I'm using. I then started attaching them all together using electrical tape and used these to form the backdrop of the diorama. Then came the tedious process of adding all the fake succulents to the diorama. It took a while to get these positioned exactly how I wanted them, but I think it turned out pretty well in the end. And now I think it's time for the final touches. These little guys. Let me know in the comments if you know where they're from. Now this bit's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking because I've spent quite a long time on these now and I don't want them all to fall apart. And after placing the dioramas into the glass jars, it was only at that point I realised that I still needed to paint the base of these things. I used this Rust-Oleum stone texture finish. I had some of this left over from a previous project, and it seemed to work pretty well to create a dirt-like colour. This covered up most of the white base and helped a little bit on the black electrical tape, but still wasn't perfect, so I decided to use some aquarium gravel in the bottom of the jar, which really seemed to pull things together. If I'm totally honest, my first technique really didn't work all that well. I thought I could just pour the stuff in and shake it about until it kind of fell into place, but that did not work. I ended up creating a funnel out of a piece of paper and just pouring the aquarium gravel down the funnel. This gave me a lot of precision and it made the whole process way easier. Let's be honest, you didn't come here to see these things in the daylight. Let's turn the lights out and see how cool they look. So what do you think, guys? Are these things cool or what? I'm genuinely happy with the results and I don't think these could have turned out any better. If I were to make these again, I think I'd probably change a couple things. First off, I think more ultraviolet LEDs. You see, quick trick of the trade, I actually had to charge these things up with a very bright flashlight before actually shooting them. That's because they wouldn't really show up on camera. In the dark when the lights are out, it's not too bad and I can see them like with the naked eye pretty easily. The camera was really struggling to focus on them, so I did have to charge them. I guess make of that what you will. Some other changes, if you are going to add more LEDs to these, you probably want to think about battery life. At the minute with the 3 LEDs, I think I'll probably get about 4 or 5 hours maybe before the battery actually dies. I've not tested that, but I did a rough calculation based on the size of the battery in the current drawer. That means if you do want to do that, then you'll have to get a larger battery, but also find a way to charge that larger battery. You see, a solar panel can only output a certain amount, and again, the stuff that's in here kind of works. The battery is just large enough that the solar panel can charge it, but not so large that it can't charge it. Can't not charge it. Double negative. Brain. Anyway, with that said, a quick solution would be just using a rechargeable battery that plugs in and recharging it maybe every once a week or something like that. That would also help with the brightness, and I think you'd get a lot more out of it doing it that way. That being said, as a proof of concept, I'm pretty happy with the solar panel idea. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, check out my website, check out social media. Yeah, bye.